Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is going to be the final drive on this car as an automatic. So this car has 196,000 miles on it, and this transmission shifts like brand new. I've done all the maintenance on it, the tube seals, the solenoids, the filter, and fluid changes. The car's tuned, making in the high 500s in terms of wheel horsepower, and it's running perfectly good. But I'm changing this car from an automatic to a manual because it's no longer my daily and I'm doing it for fun. So we'll go back to my garage shortly and I'll talk to you about all the parts that are involved to convert this car to manual. I bought everything. Alright, before we go back to the house and I show you all the components, I want to talk to you about the custom transmission tune that I'm running on this car. I was running XHP Stage 3, but now I'm running a custom Rod Sutphin tune. He reached out and sent me a couple revisions that seem to be working quite well. I'm impressed by it. I've read claims that it can shave a couple tenths off your quarter mile, and I could definitely believe that. So my biggest observation is when the car is just in regular D mode, you can get on the gas without worrying about harming the transmission. Before, it would feel like you'd want to have it in sport mode before you push the car. It feels like the more gas you give it in D mode, the quicker the transmission adapts and gets crisper progressively. That's my biggest observation. Now, when you have the car in S mode, it actually drives really smooth. It's not herky-jerky at all. It feels like power delivery is smoother in between gears. And even when you're on it at full throttle, it still feels smooth, surprisingly. So unfortunately it's raining, so I can't show you the full potential of this transmission tune, but you'll have to take my word for it. It shifts with very little loss in power during shifts. That's the biggest takeaway, I would say. In between shifts, they happen pretty quick, but you don't get that loss of sensation of momentum. Now, in my opinion, the shifts with the shifter paddles aren't very different than XHP Stage 3, but when you leave it in sport mode like this, that's where you see the biggest difference. The power delivery, the way it maintains power between shifts is quite impressive. Unfortunately, it's raining right now, so I can't show you the full potential. So I noticed in sport mode, when you're just partial throttling and cruising along, it still maintains its smoothness, which is impressive. And the way the power stays on point as it shifts gears, it almost feels like a CVT. You get very consistent, constant pull between the gears. So I'm very impressed in that respect. So I would recommend this custom transmission tune if you guys are looking for quicker shifts. If you're looking for the power not to be lost between gears and you want to just keep it in sport mode and let the car do its own thing, I think you could shave a couple tenths off your quarter mile, and I'm very impressed with the Rod Sutphin custom tune. So I'd like to thank him for sending me that. So I have given enough time to realize that this is something that I'm going to recommend to you guys. You get a very continuous pull, even partial throttle. So you just get consistent pull. So what it boils down to is the advantage with the Rod Sutphin tune is the way it maintains power between shifts. That's basically what it boils down to. Or if you want to keep it in D mode and push it, it doesn't feel like you're straining the transmission as much. But if you're going to really push it, you should keep it in S anyway so that it will adjust your line pressures. But all in all, I'm impressed with the smoothness. It's not herky-jerky, it's not clunky. The way the power comes on is very smooth and progressive. It feels relaxed, but it also feels aggressive at the same time. So I will definitely recommend his tune. I'd like to put in a good word for Ken from Wedge Tuning as well. He's doing my custom tune, and he's incorporated Rod Sutphin's transmission tune into his tune so that it will maintain power even better between shifts. He's integrated his tune to work with the Rod Sutphin tune. So that's something you can consider. Overall, I'm very happy with what Ken's done for this car. He's been easy to work with, and I'd recommend Ken as well. So definitely nothing wrong with this automatic. It's been awesome, and it's made it for an awesome daily driver all these years. But I do have a new daily driver now, and I want this car to be a little more fun and more of a weekend car, hence the conversion to a manual transmission. But all in all, I'm probably making my car slower in the quarter mile by doing this. Roll racing would be a different story, but not so concerned with a perfect quarter mile time. I'm just concerned with making this car as fun as possible as my weekend car now. But definitely much respect for this ZF 6-speed. It's really been a beast. I can't believe how much power these transmissions handle stock. It's pretty nuts. Kind of sad, but this is the final mile on this transmission. It's been awesome, but it's time for something new. Not getting rid of the car. I got way too much time invested in this, but I did want a manual transmission for my weekend car, so this is working out perfect. So yeah, let's get back to the house and let me show you all the components. So here's everything that's going to be needed for the manual transmission conversion. Here's the 6-speed manual with the slave cylinder on it and the shifter mechanism. We have the foam grommet that goes around the shifter. You have the rubber grommet that goes in between the body of the car and the shifter, the bracket that holds the transmission, the wiring harness, the pedal assembly, the accelerator pedal without the kick down, the drive shaft as it's a little bit shorter, the hardware. You do need to purchase new aluminum bolts, the flywheel bolts, the shifter assembly. They included this trim piece, which I shouldn't need, and the original dual mass flywheel, which I won't be using. I did purchase a new hard line because the one that came from the donor car got damaged. It came with the shift boot, which I won't be using. I got an Alcantara one. They included the shift knob, which I won't be using, and the guibo. I'm not sure if I'll need that. We'll see. It's better to have everything that you could ever think of. There's even a baggie with the clutch spring and all that, and all the miscellaneous hardware that you could ever need. I'm not sure if that's any different, but that's the support bracket. It may be different. The spacing here could be different for the exhaust. Here's the new clutch alignment tool, pilot bearing, which I heard you shouldn't necessarily replace because they're really difficult to get out without doing damage. You have a new pivot arm here and throw bearing. Here's the clutch itself. This is from a 335 IS or the 550i. It should be good for about 550 wheel torque. I got a new single mass flywheel. It's a lightweight 10-pound lighter version. So yeah, that's definitely everything that's needed. It would be recommended to have a new pilot bearing in case the one on your transmission is bad, but you may just want to re-grease. And I got a new rear main seals. If I get in there and it's wet, I will replace it. Expect a series where I convert this car from automatic to manual, and I'll show you everything step by step, including coding. So a little sad, that's the final drive with this car as an automatic, but I'm excited for the future and for running it as a manual. If this is the first video you're catching on mine, consider subscribing. I do upload regularly. Thanks for watching. Wow.